this doesn't look too bad to me. This is just looking like another consolidation from very, very important areas. Consolidation. Um, Taking a quicker look at it just to make sure I'm not overlooking anything. It really doesn't look bad. Um, you might get chopped up here if you're a bit impatient, if you're a leverage trader, if you're trying to catch the immediate moment something breaks. You might get caught here. The good news is your premiums are very low, so realistically, holding a chop is not going to cost you too much. Obviously, this won't matter to someone that's maybe a smaller player, but to bigger players, this is going to matter. Um, paying 0.007, 0.01 in the 65 to 66, even the 70K price is pretty ridiculous. It's not something I've seen before. So it's something we all have to discuss together. These premiums are extremely cheap for where we're trading, which is above previous all-time highs. When we look at a weekly, it's something to consider. Uh, your premiums do not cost you anything right now. They're practically free to get long. So again, for futures data, this is quite important because the second we start getting into premium rates of 0.5, 0.06, we start to notice some pretty strong flushes, 5 to 10%, in worst cases 15%. So when we're starting to hit neutral rates, and for me, neutral rates obviously is flat funding, so no premium, no incentive whatsoever, just zero. But to be trading underneath 0.01 is significant enough for me to discuss. So please keep this in mind. I don't see, at least right now, perps being more bullish than spot, and that's very, very important. When you're at a level where you're looking for trend continuation, perps being more bullish than spot usually is not the best sign, but spot being more bullish than perps is a big factor. Dominance at 54.5%. Looked like it wanted to go into 55%. And for all who know how I do my stuff, Bitcoin dominance, we are expecting a final push into 56, 60%. That this would fall in line with the halving for me. This is what would make most sense. Now this price of Bitcoin in terms of US dollar go up or down during this dominance rally, I don't think it matters, and I don't think we should care, right? So what we're expecting here in terms of metrics and overall capital flow is we are about I want to say 15, just over 2 weeks away from a halving. We should expect capital flow back into BTC over this period of time. Whether this affects price negatively or positively should not be much of your concern, because anything amassing capital at this point in at this point in the cycle, anything that's still continuously stealing market cap away from others is going to have a very, very positive response on a long enough time frame, right? So as we could see, New York Open just opened, so that explains a lot of the volume we just saw. So let's see how this market opens up today. I want to assume we continue moving up here. Sold off all of Asia session. I want to assume that these levels are held. Yeah, 67.7 is going to be the level that we need to reclaim today. I'm not going to touch the 200 EMA. I'm more, concerned about 67.7. We get above that, we should have clear risk-on conditions. We're respecting the pivot. We're trending in the negatives, just slightly in the positives of the volume oscillator. We should expect some momentum here. 67.7 should be the level we're fighting for. It's going to be the level of significance. If we hold that, we should have no problem going into 70,000 or higher. So just just to say that on the 15-minute, New York Open has just begun, so volume is going to start kicking off here. Look for 67.7. This is going to be the level to really reclaim today. So if you're sidelined like me right now on the intraday, you just opened up. I would avoid taking a position in between 67.7 and 66.7. It's kind of like a no trade zone. But if you get above 67.7, you do something like this. We're probably going to do something like this. If you get something like this, that's your trigger, and we should be able to take the play, make higher lows and continue to move up from here. This is my plan for today. So we're just going to ignore and avoid the 67.7, 66.7 mess. The reason for this being, if there is weakness here, well, we're not buying into the anticipation of a reclaim. We either just get flat out rejected, we take no action, and we re-strategize. We'll look for S3, and we could take it from there. That's what protects us. And in the event that price does reclaim 67.7, well, and we'll give up this. It's a bit of a trade. We'll give up this movement because we're unsure, and we'll long what we need to look for in order to actually take a play that we could spot. But up until then, we'll use this as the hedge. If we're wrong, that's great. If we're right, that's great, right? Can BDC go to the lower 50s, and how much am I expecting lower? There's always the possibility that it can, and for that reason, I'll be a buyer. But I'm more of an optimist than um, someone that looks for perfect entries. I've had two daily swing ideas on the daily time frame that I've discussed thoroughly. One of them being 64 to 60K. This is a place where I've made a spot allocation. I got fully filled on it, as you can see, over the event of where we tapped into 60,000, the day that we tapped in from 64 to 60,000. I was able to put a spot allocation that I felt comfortable putting in there. So I'm not going to touch that. However, there is another spot allocation that I do have available towards 53, about 50,000. If that hits, that hits. That's great. If it doesn't, that's part of the game. It's great as well. But I'm not going to tell you, hey, open up a net short here, go fully flat, and hope for the best. I'm not going to do that. It's really all about strategizing. I'm bullish going into the halving. I'm bullish long term. So really, whether I buy at 64 to 60 and 53 to 50 on a long enough time frame doesn't really matter to me. So I hope that provides some insight. I have two levels of interest: 64 to 60, which is rather aggressive, and I'm willing to take the hit if I'm wrong. In the event that I'm right, well, guess what? I got to buy the previous all-time highs, or at least the previous zone of where we defended, and that should take us to new highs. And in the event that I'm wrong, 53 to 50 is almost certainly to give me the response I'm looking for. That would be a 30 to 33% drop from our most recent highs into the 73,000 area. Traditionally, that has always served as a terrific buying opportunity in bull market. So if it's given, you don't want to be scared. But if it's not given, you can't be mad either. This is a rather quite aggressive market. We're entering a supply side crisis where supply is going to start crunching, getting more minimal. You have inflows coming in that buy out 2 to 3 times the daily mine supply at BDC. That's only going to get worse in about a month from now. So if you're starting to see people buying 2 to 3 times the daily supply at BDC with its current mind ability, after the halving, that will be double that. So keep this in mind. I don't think Bitcoin is anywhere near the price that it should be right now, and I still think we have a good 3 to 6 months to determine that. Um, so for BDC, that's my full analysis. I'm bullish and optimistic going into the halving. Whether it has an immediate effect or not is not of my concern. The way the halving works is it pretty much prices in over time. Do I really think we've priced this all in a matter of weeks? I don't think so. So I'm optimistic. I'm completely aware of corrections, and I'm a buyer on any of them, right? So that's my mentality going into them, and hopefully it helps you guys the same. Now I know people are going to want me to take a look at Ethereum. I'll take a look at Solana, but I'm going to cover BTC, Ethereum, and then we go on to the really big majors. So Solana will be my next one. We're going to talk about Ethereum here because I know a lot of people are probably stubbornly long on this, and if I'm quite honest with you, it hasn't been giving us the punch that we need, or a punch that's worth our time. But nonetheless, I do want to believe, based on what I'm seeing, based on how everything is flowing, that Ethereum does eventually get its moment. However, there are some signs that you should take caution to, and we'll take a look at the most important metric here, which is what I think is important the most, especially at um, the cycle and exact moment that we're at right now. Just to specify, Ethereum hangs by an absolute fucking thread here, an absolute thread before making new lows. If anything, you can even consider it's already done that. Um, since 2017, ETH BTC's index has looked like shit. It's failed to make new highs, and this could be troubling to some. This could be very, very troubling to people that maybe have like a really, really bullish, optimistic outlook. For the most part, what I've seen on Ethereum, I've seen on Solana. So there's a reason why we're going to talk about Solana here, is because I do think Ethereum has lost a lot of its thunder due to Solana's growing market participants, and it's, for the longest time, the fight has always been between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I think now we're starting to understand, right, with the ETFs coming in, and with practically no progress on Ethereum's ETF. It's like we're starting to see now that Bitcoin will be treated in a class of its own, while everybody else, it's pretty much fight to the death on who has the best tech. It's we're starting to see this now. We're starting to see that it's becoming more a comparison of Ethereum and Solana, not Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin's kind of starting to be classed in its own thing. It's being taken seriously, and everything else is completely speculative. What's important about Ethereum here, especially in its comparison to Bitcoin's valuation, especially when we're looking at dominance factors and everything that could suggest money flowing into this. I don't see the signs just yet, but I know we're close. I know we're close to at least seeing some sort of speculative bubble. And if not now, when? But when we are grinding into new lows, and these would be new lows we haven't seen since, oh boy, um, 2021, right? So it's something to consider here. I mean, a bounce is due eventually. It's got to happen. It's either that or this suffers tremendous downside that we haven't seen since pre 2020 cycles. So I'd be very very interested to see when this actually does bounce. But the closer we get to a halving, the closer we get to the big finality of the Bitcoin narrative, I would expect this to pop off. So let's keep our eyes on this. I'm not going to tell you where I think we bottom out. It's going to be focused more on a time related issue. So when it comes to the Ethereum narrative rotation and when we can decide to start speculating heavy into that, I think that time is very, very near. But with Bitcoin dominance ready to make its next move, I think this is the final push before we can truly start to speculate big on other pairings. But when we talk about Ethereum on an M15 and we look at it on the immediate time frame, we have everything we need to know to pretty much stay away from this on the intraday. You guys know how I operate. When a pivot into engineer may or not, looking out for us, we have no interest in this chart. The only thing we'll really take a look at on a day like today is the S3 level. And again, this is quite uncharted waters because we've held the lows towards the S2 level 3,200 to about 3,218. So to trend into 3,142, to be hanging by a thread on ETH BTC, it's pretty much a knife catch, and you should be very very careful as we approach this area. Just because the metrics and the data doesn't suggest that money's been flowing into ETH, rather it's been flowing out. So you don't want to be the guy buying into something that everybody's trying to leave. So just keep this in mind. For an intraday strategy, there's only two ways you can go about this. You're looking at S3, 3142, and because it's not because it's not in confluence with other drops or other liquidity sweeps that we can notice on an immediate time frame. When we look for an S3 play, we typically look for the flush. We look for the flush. We let that low get taken out, and then we long the reclaim into S1 and S2, these two levels here. And in a rare case, the pivot, which would be our final take profit. Now, if that doesn't happen, there's another thing you can do here, and that would be looking for 33, so 3333 or 3340. This is a level that was fought for over the past 2 days. I think if you get something like this, once again, you have yourself another long setup into R1, R2, R3. So there's no need to leg it or push it here. You have two options to play. But what's important here is you're ignoring the chaos. And the chaos is all this bullshit. We don't want none of this bullshit because there's nothing to trade here. There's nothing realistically that we could predict with enough risk tolerance to actually come out of this accurately, right? So why do we avoid it? Simply because of that. We don't trade retail chaos. We look for the bids that make the most sense, the ones that most people are looking to capitulate on, or the ones that most people are looking to sell on. These are going to be the places that we're looking to operate. But all this chaos where everybody's trading, no. We avoid this. We avoid this. We have only 24 hours in a day, right? So we need to best use our time. And right now, today's a day that signals risk off, complete risk off, right? So there's no real rush. You don't have to go crazy. You look for levels. If you get them, that's great. If you don't, that's great. You're gonna have some days that feel like this, and that's normal. But what's important is you save your war chest, you survive, and you wait for a clearer play, right? It's okay if you had a long setup earlier in the night, you got stopped out. There's no need to force another one, man. A loss is a loss. Take it on the chin. Keep moving forward. There's no need to dwell on it. Be salty about it. All right, so our tape is getting more active here. I'm going to take a look at Solana because I know a lot of people are into this, and so am I, to be quite honest with you. I do like Solana. However, the daily time frame, it goes in one of two ways, but I do like our levels below. Quite a lot of liquidity that we can extract. We have two scenarios here. Either you believe in a bottom, which completely rounds out around 172, and this just takes us to new highs, or you continue to expect that this bleeds out into the most ideal bids, which is going to be anywhere between 150 to 125. It goes either way. You can use a bit of the past price action to see how Solana resolves these sort of consolidation periods. And what it likes to do is it likes to bleed back into a really, really noticeable level of demand. So again, you have two pockets of demand here that gapped away rather quickly, right? You could say that this demand or this supply, which is now flipped as demand, is now considered the efficient level because of how this level was wicked into and how strong this pushed away shortly after. We would assume that most of our demand is mostly found in between these bulk of bids between 150 and 125. So again, this is a daily time frame, right? So you got to keep your expectations quite big. You have to have a system of beliefs. Now, typically what I do in a situation like this where I have two equal highs being made, I have rules, right? What is my rule over here? Well, look, if I'm getting signals, especially after prices rallied so hard, especially after it's coming into some really noticeable levels like all-time highs, what do I do in a situation like this? If I'm happy with my profits, I hedge up. I hedge up a partial amount of it or an amount that I'm comfortable walking away with, and I allow myself a room forever to buy back, right? So what's the strategy behind this and why am I talking about this? A hedge is very important, right? Because we can never realistically gauge when a top is, right? We can never realistically gauge the perfect price action of any moment ever. So how do we protect our profits, and most importantly, how do we allow ourselves to flow naturally with a market? Well, this is gonna be very, very important, right? So I'll give you an arbitrary example or just a plain Jane example, right? Let's say I'm long from 131 to about 128, right? I rode this wave up, we get rejected, I'm holding on, and then we get rejected again. Now I'm a bit worried, I'm a bit spooked out. I'm seeing, a lower high, I don't want to round trip all my profits, I've already given back a good 10, 15%. What do you do in this situation? Well, if you have a bullish continuation and a bullish expectation going into the future, but you have no, needs, or you have no mean to round trip something because, it's just a waste of time. What most players will do is they'll look at a hedge point, right? What's their hedge point? It's gonna be probably this wick right here, the 210 area. In this case, is a bit more. It's a bit more of a gray zone, but let's just say these were both equal candle bodies, right? Someone's hedge zone would be somewhere around the 203 level, right? So what are they doing? Realistically, they're selling, right? They're selling this point, and they're hoping to buy back at an area that makes the most sense to them, right? So what's the trade-off here? Why would I do such a thing in hopes of getting back lower? First and foremost, because you're expecting the pullback, right? The hedge serves as a reason to take profit. You take profit, you secure some profits. The best news scenario is price actually trickles 30% or 25% lower into your actual zone of interest, and you reallocate back in, right? Your hedge that you sold up here is now being bought back over here. That's the best case scenario, and that's the best example of a hedge, right? It's never always going to happen in a perfect world like this, but it's the purpose that it serves, right? In a perfect world, you get to sell the local top and you get to buy the local bottom. All in all, you get to resize, you got to secure some profits, and you got to buy with bigger capital and ammo. Now, what's the worst case scenario of a hedge, and what are the downsides? Because if we all knew when to hedge, we'd never lose, right? So there are events where a hedge does not go as planned, and you're forced to make a decision. Do I want to secure the profits, right? Walk away in the event that I'm right, I get to buy back lower and then even also profit some? Or do I want to put this amount of percentage on the line, right? So something like a 10% haircut. Let's say you're hedged up from here with an idea of this being wrong. You want to give yourself an 8% hedge haircut for the idea of buying back, I don't know, 35% lower. So the trade-off is this, right? In the event that I'm wrong on my hedge, I'll know that very clearly once we make new highs where I'll just rebuy my bag. The downside is, and the loss of this hedge is, I still continue to play the continuation, but I take an 8% haircut on where I thought I was wrong. So this is the trade, right? I'm betting on a 33% correction, and I'm putting up 5 to 8% if I'm wrong on my P&L bag. And that's really the hedge. So there's two ways to play this. Sorry for getting off topic. There's two ways to play it. You either believe 172 is the area that we hold on from, or you believe that the 150, because I will include this as well. This is pretty difficult of a demand area, but if you have a big wide gap of tolerance, I would say the 150 125 zone is where most people are probably going to reload up on spot and try their luck. So that's my opinion on Solana. When it comes to the daily time frame, when it comes to the intraday time frame, we don't really have realistically anything we can do here. You have a pivot 200 EMA being rejected completely. That's usually our sign to stay completely risk off. Hedged. We've had two S3 bounces and weakness, significant weakness right after, which would have failed an S3 play that we would have taken here. So again, it's just one of those off days. It's one of those off days. Obviously, reclaiming would be really really nice, but again, I would have been triggered on a setup like this, and I would have lost my trade. So when I see this, I typically just stay out. This is trailing down pretty steep. So if there is going to be a mean reversion, it's going to look something like this. And then if it wants to bottom out again, it'll do that. If it wants to continue going down, it'll continue doing that. But for now, I don't think you have to worry too much or make any rash decisions. It's a pretty risk-off day. It's looking pretty shitty. Any update on ETH ETF? None to my knowledge. It's been pretty slow. That side of things has been pretty slow, almost like it's going to be rejected, in my opinion. But all right, we're fighting for 67.7. This is huge. Can Solana go to 1K and higher? I don't like to give these price points and targets. I treat it level by level. Let's break all-time high first before we talk about this. Yeah, we'll have to break all-time high before we can make such claims. Boy, oh boy, it's a bad day today. Solana like the next Ethereum? Kind of. It does the same thing, right? It does the same thing. So yes, naturally, ETH and Solana are fighting for market cap, while BBC continues to steal majority of it. It's pretty interesting. Would the ETH ETF change the outlook for ETH drastically? I mean, it can, but has it changed anything up until now? Not really. So I haven't seen anybody buy into ETH as if they're waiting or assuming the approval, and instead I just kind of see it shitting the bed and costing a lot of people time, costing a lot of people time. Things that are not moving while AI pops off, while other sectors pop off, and most importantly, Solana. If you wanted to have the closest comparison to how Solana or how Ethereum looked during 2020, it was like Solana. It did this. It looked like this. It was ready to break into new highs. Like it was ready. It's an excellent day today. So much on discount. That's a good mentality, Miami. I like that. I like that. It's a better discount than when do I think gaming bull will start? I think everything starts when you're done Bitcoin's narrative, when you're done the inflows. Things have changed, right? Things have changed. 2021, a lot of people have had access to centralized exchanges. They weren't so familiar with on-chain, and they pretty much made most of their business through their majors. This time around, a lot of this shit's on chains. A lot of people don't have access to centralized exchanges. So these tokens on chain are starting to pop off. There's a ton of liquidity coming into them, and my only thesis behind that could be associated, with the fact that a lot of people are kind of restricted from being able to trade derivatives or regular pairing. So will AI and gaming have their thing? I think they've already had it, and they're going to continue. It's so undervalued. As long as the space continues to grow in interest and everything, then yes, yeah, those are probably going to be the two top industries that are going to be hit the most, in a good way, of course. What's my take on the BRC20 narrative? You reckon it may pop up around halving? Oishi, it's a good question. I've been a follower of BNB for a while now. I've been charting it pretty much since the bottom. Um, do I think a BSC season is upon us? I mean, when I look at this chart and when I look that we're pretty much ready to smash new highs, I mean, money's going to flow somewhere and people are going to speculate. And so long as people are desperate and greedy and making money, they're going to want to speculate on anything. So does BSC season come? I think so. I think a BSC season can have a round two. Will it be as crazy as the first time around? I don't think so. What are these coins? Like, what are these coins? Bitey? Sexy? What the fuck are these things? I'm telling you, man. If it's on, oh boy, I see Uniswap. Oh boy, it's one of these, huh? Yeah, sexy I've seen before. Oh my god, what the fuck is all this shit, dude? I'm more concerned about the bite one. Yeah, look, I'm not the one to fade fucking. Okay, no, this is obviously not it. I'm not the one to fade John on these things, bro. Like, I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson. Oof. This can't be it either. Do I have to go on deck screener or something? You kids and your on-chain fucking tokens. You kids and your on-chain tokens, bro. I mean, it's hitting the 200 EMA pivot, 200 EMA. I mean, if it's gonna follow the trend, that's the bounce spot. Quite a downpour though, almost no volume, so that's interesting. It's like no follow through. But this would be the area. This would be the area. Not many times it trades underneath. What's wrong with on-chain tokens? I'm just being a boomer and making fun of people that are more advanced than me these days. I'm a derivatives trader, boys. Like, you know, you guys talk about your fucking bridging and shit like that. Nick, my 14-year-old cousin pulls me aside like 2 3 weeks ago, asking me about Bitcoin, bro. I was freaking out. 14 years old, dude. He was asking me about Bitcoin. This new generation's gonna fucking sweep us, man. It's actually scary. Yeah. Can I look up Jupe buy zones? I'm pretty sure I have this on my chart somewhere here. Hold on. Where are my J's? Come on. There it is. Jupe. This. Long-term buy zones? I don't have a 200 EMA on the daily yet. That's pretty sketch. I mean, you're entering a pretty cool zone here, right? I know it sounds ridiculous to assume this, but man, like I'm a real fan of this block right here. I don't think you get it, but fuck, that would be a perfect entry. Like that would be a perfect entry. The problem is, so does this. This looks like a fucking perfect entry too. As it grinds into these bids right here. That would make the most sense. It's either that or just something like this. I don't know why I drew it like that, but man, there's two areas that should have a significant response, 125 to about like 115. And then really, man, really, if you're pessimistic enough and greedy enough, 99 to 88. But you know, I don't want to scare people and make them think that like that has to happen. I'm just saying, like right off the naked eye, like from what I could see, straight off the bat, that's a beautiful pocket of demand. And if that were to ever come back, that would have a really strong response. Thoughts on total three BTC dominance and ETH BTC. I already covered this. ETH BTC pretty much hanging by a thread. Not too optimistic in the midst of making new lows, but you know, at the same time, I would assume a sharp recovery is near, but I can't assume that until Bitcoin dominance probably makes its final push here into 5660. My belief is that dominance into the halving is due one last final push before we start to see the true outflow of it into other pairings. This is my belief. This is what I think is going to happen. We're about 2 weeks away from this, so if it's going to make its push after consolidating for like 3 months now, 2 months, I think it's time. You know, like this is going to be like what the seventh time we push into 55. I think this is the moment. Right on cue with the halving. It would make the most sense. That final blow off top push of dominance, followed by an immediate swing into ETH, which is falling off a fucking cliff. It makes the most sense. It's a recipe for disaster. It's what we should follow and what we should look at. What do I think about total three? I don't really cover that. I'll just cover the regular total. But like we're near, like we're very close, right? when we started to see alts like downpour like this 5-10% a day, well, that's what we saw, post halving for a bit, or even just pre-halving. We saw alts just tumble 10 to 20% a day for like a good 3 weeks before they started to go crazy. So is this a super cycle? I don't think so. I don't think so. Stay away from these like crazy narratives. Just trade the narrative. Just trade the narrative. Don't fall into these things. Treat every market with respect, and you'll do just fine. Because when people believe in a super cycle, they believe they actually have to do nothing and hold no responsibility and accountability for their actions. You got to be smart. You got to be poised. You got to be calculated. If not, they will take your lunch money. They will take your lunch money, boys. They don't fuck around in here, right? You're not playing Sunday football here. Like it's not some kid that tried out at the Prem, when he was 8 years old, and now he plays Sunday every week. No. These guys are pros. These guys are pros. They will take your money if you make mistakes. Don't make any mistakes. No free lunch. They will actually take your milkshake. They will take the milkshake. So treat your opponents with respect. Don't make any careless mistakes. They see you. They see you like a game of Battleship. Bitcoin dominance topping is happening with upward market, or alt's going to dump huge while BTC going up or keeping at this level. My honest opinion, you don't have to take this as fact because everything I say is merely speculative. My final opinion is yes, this is the final capitulation for whatever alts need to get tapped into their really valuable areas of demand. I think this will be in confluence with the Bitcoin dominance rally. But then right after that, shortly after that, I do believe alts get some breathing room and they will perform tremendously. I really do believe that. I'm a believer of that. I follow the previous cycles and how they typically reveal themselves. And we are seeing the same signs that we saw pre-halving. Same signs. Bitcoin's doing well, but everybody's saying, what the fuck, my alts suck, I'm poor, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. It's the same exact feeling. Oh, and while AI and gaming goes crazy, it reminds you of DeFi 2020. So better exiting and hoping for good re-entering. Totally. You take my words and you mix it into like some sort of Denmark, Copenhagen type of fit on what you should do. The reality is, I just gave you my opinion. You know, um, it's up to you. It's up to you. Like personally, I don't like to sell my BDC because I've been caught too many times selling my BDC and having to catch it. It's just not a fun game when you had a really good position. There's no fucking point in doing that if your overall thesis is things will go up regardless, right? Just DCA, exactly. That's exactly it. Like that's my opinion. Like you'll see, like the longer you get in at this game, the less you want to time every move. You just want to be ready for the moves that benefit you. It doesn't mean you have to be on both sides of the trade. It just confuses you for the real opportunity. Copenhagen, Denmark. It's a joke. Copenhagen moved to Denmark. Will I do funding classes or videos? I can. I can. It's just I gauge the sentiment of those who tune into my streams. And I don't want to just start hopping off the rails with futures metrics and data and just confuse people, right? Like I want funding to play a specific role whenever I'm making a point on the charts because it's going to help you understand funding and what it's there for. Where do I think ETH bottoms if what I say happens? Where do I think ETH bottoms? Right here. If I'm being honest with you, you have like a number of levels that you can look forward to. What I'm really salty about is how we just slightly missed this level. When we first dropped into 60-64K, we also got like this kind of like this drop on Ethereum. Well, I was looking at around 30,020 to about let's say 2990, and I didn't get it. So I'm hoping for that, but realistically, like the lowest I see is like maybe like 2719, 2720. Just give me like this bleeding out thing, and then that's what I want to see on ETH. Like truly, this is what I want to see. I want to see something like this, right? Right into May, a month after the halving, and then pop. Like I really do think it's Do I mind giving you a quick summary on what I just discussed? Frankly, we've been talking for a good like 45 minutes now. We covered a lot. We covered a lot. I gave my thoughts on BDC. Fuck. To go through all that again, man. Long story short, what I covered the most was just the metrics we're seeing, what we should expect moving forward. BDC being in a very, very healthy position, especially on the future side of things. It's nothing that screams getting away with positions they shouldn't have. It's at least this to me is a sign more along the lines that spot has been present this bit, which is what everybody fucking bitches and complains about mostly, or everybody makes like their bearish thesis on. It's like, oh, in 2020 we had a COVID bubble and free money being printed. What's going to be the reason for people buying this time? And it's like if you haven't realized by now, there's always going to be people buying. That's the beauty of it. So like, our spot buys are there. They've been there. They've been as present as ever, scarily present. Like if that's even a word, like it's been scary present. Like they're sorry about that. Yeah, it's scary cheap to be long here on leverage. Like this is what we used to see back at 10K. Okay. How to use pivots for daily trading? Very, very simple. You'll learn a lot if you follow my corner. I know a lot of you guys don't like to read my walls of text, but oh man, I know there's some people in here. ELDR. I know you guys. I see a lot of people thinking we cool off during the summer and then more upside in the fall after election. Would you agree with that? Eero, I think it's gonna get pretty crazy. And I'm not trying to be like an astrologer here or anything of the sort. Election years are typically crazy for the states. A lot of weird shit happens during the summer. Um, just look back every 4 years, weird shit starts to happen. It's already begun. If you want my honest opinion, does it affect markets? I don't know. I think if I'm being honest with you, the way the Federal Reserve spoke at last FOMC, it's almost like they're in a position to help this administration look good by the end of the year. I don't necessarily think markets will look bad. I don't. I don't. I think they're trying to distract you with good markets. If anything, I would say after the election, shit starts to get more annoying. But I think it's gonna be a risk on summer. I really do. Yeah. I don't think. Yeah, like I don't think election years, as chaotic and crazy as they can be, as in terms of news and what's going on the streets. I think for markets they do overall really well. Oh, Spaniards in here. Good to see you, my friend. Bite. You know, I can't even find it. Ragnaros, how we do it? I can't even find it, so that's a problem for me. Ooh. Man, these things are so fucking like so young, bro. Look at these things. You ask me to like analyze like a day's worth of data, bro. Like a few days worth of data. Like this is just not feasible. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Like this is the thing, right? When you start asking me to look in, like as a derivatives trader, right? As someone that totally understands BDC and everything I got involved in this for, you are asking me to analyze something, at least the price of something for something I currently know the following of. Nothing about what it does, nothing about the team, no data realistically ever to support any sort of buy or sell opportunities. Like there's just nothing for me to talk about here other than the fact that I would know about the project and believe in the team. It's this is speculative as it gets. Like this is as speculative as it gets. I cannot provide an opinion on this, and I hope you can respect why I can't. It's just I have no data. I have no data. Of course, I have I have places I can map, but like it all depends on market cap with these things. If no money's coming in and you're just nothing's happening. So it's hard to talk about this. It's hard to talk about this. When you ask me about desync, this is another project that's just kind of in the same boat. I cannot give you TA on something that just I don't know its longevity. It just started. However, if you want to get in, if you want to get into stuff like this and you want to try your luck, I would think, man, in on chain, 33 to 40% drops might not be enough. You might be looking for 55 to 60% retracements. I would think you start in at the 30 to 40% pullback zone, and then your final allocation 60% in. That's how I would treat these things, just because I don't know. I would assume these things are so premature that market cycles will happen every 3 days. So just assume market cycle lows will hit somewhere towards 60 to 80% down, and then new highs. That's how I would treat these on-chain markets. Like I would be super greedy, super greedy. It is what it is. Is it possible that we get a BTC blow off top earlier than everyone expects, aka June, July? I feel like the scenario could trap everyone waiting for January 2025 blow off top. Can you see this happening? No one is expecting this scenario, which makes me feel like it's likely more likely than the January 2025 scenario at least. How do I explain this? Metrics have changed, inflows have changed, the demand for Bitcoin has changed, its respect on a global stage has changed. Blow off tops. What do we mean by this? I really do think your path from 70 to 100K is the hardest part in Bitcoin's history. And after 100K, it's going to fly into 200K, like really fast. Like I don't think people understand the supply crisis up at those levels. The real test is going to be from 70 to 100K because it's a psychological barrier. It's an area where most people are going to retire. But after 100K, 200K comes rapidly, like more faster than I think anybody's expecting. Like that's my belief. I don't think people are estimating just exactly what happened over the past 3 months to this market. I don't think anybody understands. For Bitcoin in specific, I don't think anybody understands the competition you're about to run into. Like I truly think it's being underestimated at like its highest degree. Blow off top, stuff like this. It's like I don't think we'll get the cycles we've gotten before. I think they're going to be more sophisticated, way more difficult. This isn't retail. What's been buying this? It's not retail. Retail doesn't have this level of capital to continuously push. This isn't retail whatsoever. Nobody I know, and I know everybody. It's 8 years now. I'm in crypto. By now, you would know that people in real life will come to me to ask about crypto. I get nobody, and I mean nobody, ask me about Bitcoin. Not a single fucking person in my life asks me about Bitcoin. They'll ask me about everything else, but they won't ask me about BTC. Like that's what I mean by who is buying right now. Realistically, who's buying right now? Probability of EMA and bull market support band touches. I think any area like that, if it's given, should be bid. Is it guaranteed? I don't think so. You're in a very, very, very aggressive market. You're in a very aggressive market. Look at this, 67.7. This smashes right through. Let's see. This is the moment of test now. If you can hold this again, we're going back up. We're going back up. What's our rates look like? 86, still under 100. This is a fucking joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. Like a good joke. It's What's my view on gold pushing up and no expansion in the stock? Russell 2000 not expanding. Historically, gold has tanked in a bull run. R2000 has broke out on the other indexes. Makes sense. I don't think this is the thing, right? Gold tanking in bull runs. We're in a different dynamic now, right? Because historically, we never had as much money in the system that we do today. We never had situations where money was printed in the fashion that it was, like we had in the past 4 years. I think this bull run is mostly due to the fact that most stocks, if they're not going to be producing numbers less than usual, if they're not going to be any different than the numbers they were making for the past 3 years, realistically, all this money that has been added into the economy makes these things undervalued. Because if they technically did not lose any any of their profits, any of their assets, any of their anything, right? Then these things are quote unquote undervalued based on the money supply in the market. So I think gold traditionally, yes, when assets are risk on and stuff like this, it means that the dollar is looking to find value again. But real like right now, I just think we're in a moment where you have actual fear in how this is being conducted, and you're starting to see people move away from fiat systems. Like that's my personal belief, is that you are finally seeing the turning point, that people no longer trust the system that they were taught to trust, and see other options. That's what I'm seeing. So yeah, sound money and store of value are starting to take off a bit. It's my thesis, in my opinion. Again, I'm quite melancholic. I have a cynical view on the world. It's kind of what introduced me to Bitcoin. So I'll always see it this way until it dies. But Bitcoiners and golders, we're one and the same. It's just one of us believes in a fixed supply, and the other one doesn't. One understands technology, and the other doesn't. And fair respect to them. Gold holders are those guys got hands like you wouldn't believe. So I have respect for them. But for it to be going up in these market conditions, it's more a testament to the signs of how everybody thinks everything's hanging by a thread. You have a lot of war talk, you have a lot of war breakout, you have a lot of instability in the world, and when shit gets like that, people don't want to be in banks, they don't want to be in bonds, they don't want to be in common stocks, they want to be in shit that they have full custody over. So realistically, gold, which is ironic in its sense because it's easily confiscated, Bitcoin as well. So these are two assets I think a lot of people are severely underestimating. Maybe gold not as much, because gold is for boomers, but Bitcoin in specific is that version, right? Whether you want to use it as currency or as a store of value, it doesn't give a fuck, and that's the beauty of it. It fits both scenarios. Um, at what point do I think we'll see our next major altcoin season? This is probably going to happen shortly after the halving. You'll probably have another 3 to 6 weeks to prepare. And we'll be able to see the metrics from there. If we see a significant drop in dominance and overall total market cap being held, then it's pretty much the green light, guys. To me, that's the green light. You just gotta stay patient. That's all it is. I know these past 6 months have been crazy, and you feel like you're missing out on plays, but man, you've been able to catch so many. The real booms are coming, in my opinion. Again, it's my opinion. I can never speak with certainty. The world changes on a dime, but based on everything I've seen, being my third cycle now, full cycle, being here from start to finish, we're in the same exact spot that we were in 2020, like the same exact spot just before Bitcoin broke into the 30Ks. It feels exactly like that. You just gotta stay patient. Stay patient. If you can afford to do spot, do spot. Stay away from leverage. It's gonna destroy you. Race, give me a message, okay? Give me a message. I'm so behind on my one-on-ones. It's ridiculous. What are my LT plays? Like my lower time frame plays? My lower time frame plays are typically always the same. I operate a pivot M15 strategy. I'm a sophisticated trader, bro. Like I don't need to play illiquid caps. We have so many members and so many traders in our group that do this. I stick to derivatives. People that want to make a living out of a market that moves in either direction, whether it's chopping or doing nothing at all. Um, oh, long term. Okay, long term plays. I already posted one. I have INJ that's on my radar. As you can see, starting to hit our zone. Starting to hit our zone. So let's see. Anywhere between 31 to 25, if I'm not mistaken. Um, for now, that's what I have. Of course, thanks to John and a couple other guys, I have interest in these two, but I'm not going to disclose that I'm publicly long just yet. I'm going to wait a bit. Desync and Scalia are probably the two things that I'm just going to chuck some money at. And again, it's not like, oh, this is a max conviction play. I'm just chucking money at it. I want to, I want to throw some chips on the table. I don't want to feel like I'm closing a blind eye to things that are moving. What resources helped me the most to be the trader I am today? Will, that's a compliment. What really changed everything was, there's a number of things. Most importantly, is a community. Um, you're gonna have a lot of trouble, and I mean a lot of trouble, trying to figure out where you went wrong, or how you're feeling in a current situation, because man, trading is gonna make you feel anything but normal. It's gonna make you feel like a fucking psycho many times throughout the day. Having a community, or at least experienced members that were able to like share with me, like, don't worry, that's happened to me too, you're not alone. It helps take the blame off yourself a bit, and kind of just helps you realize that, trading is just the day of operations, and sometimes your operations are great, sometimes they're bad. Most importantly is that everybody, whether you look up to them or look down to them, have went through the same thing more or less. It's all about you at the end of the day. um, Resources that helped me, I learned a lot from a free YouTuber. Shit's not free, but a lot of his videos were. His name is Sam Sadin. He taught me supply and demand. Uh, I used that effectively in 2020, and it made me a lot of money. And it taught me a lot about how to look at markets. So once again, that's Sam Sadin, SAMSEIDEN. Um, Helped a lot. I learned a lot of it from his videos. Very straightforward to me. Um, what else did I do? What else did I do? I asked a lot of questions. A lot of it came from my own effort and through stories shared with other people, because crypto is a bit different. It's a bit different than other traditional markets. Crypto has more rug pulls, more elaborate scams, more con artists, more everything, and it's unregulated, so it's a wild west. It requires a bit of street smarts, not just book smarts. And that's where, speaking to people that have been in the trenches, have been there, done that, you're gonna learn the most from these guys, just because they're aware of the most elaborate things and deliberate things. The most information I've ever gotten is from these two aspects right here. I was in a tight knit group slash community. They walked me through. Did I deserve to be there? I still don't know to this day, but they walked me through a lot of stuff. I got to see a lot of how they were thinking, a lot of how they would laugh on days where I would be crying. Like, it was just surround yourself with the right people. Like, it's the most important thing. You need to be surrounded by people that either have been there, done that, or are as obsessed as you are. The group that I was in was called the Yocto Cap. It doesn't exist anymore. We were a very, very tight knit group. Coin Guru and I came from that group, actually. Me and Guru came from that group. Yeah, from the 2018 days, the 2017 days. I feel like cryptosphere has made it 10 times easier to understand traditional markets and traditional trading. Would you agree? Yes, absolutely. If you go to TradFi right now, you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh at how boring it is. You could literally just long based on how the open is, how the close is, how the open is, how the close is, how the open is, how the close is. You're pretty much an algo, and you don't even realize it. Crypto is completely free. You're one bad headline away from getting liquidated. You're one positive news away from buying a Lambo. That's what a free market should feel like. Is that you never feel like, oh, it's okay. The MMs won't let that happen because there's a circuit breaker. There's this. There's that. It's a joke. TradFi. TradFi is a joke. I think Cypress is recording actually. How to create a tight knit group. Zombie. I feel like on my head it says Google.ca or Google.com, and you're just writing your deepest desires. How do you create a tight knit group? Start and charts ideas. You want to know how many people we've made from this group that just branched off and did their own thing? Like, this is the one thing about this group is we've taught so many people to become traders that they feel confident enough to go start their own. And what they do is, a lot of times what I've seen in this group is the serious ones take their ass to charts and ideas, and they bounce ideas together all day long. And then when it starts getting crowded, they start to message each other. And then they become good friends, and then they trade all day long with each other. I've seen this happen to a number of people, actually. There was a few groups of people that did this, and they're doing their own thing now. Aztec started out on charts ideas, and now look, he has his own group, right? Most of those people that came that are currently on Aztex's roster, and it's not to downplay anything, because we respect them very much. They were members of, they were corners of our group, or once upon a time charts ideas members of our group. Guys like Jelly as J Trade, these guys all came from here. They all came from here, and it's like we have nothing but the utmost respect for them. It's just like, like some people, want to manage their stuff differently. We have respect for that, but they're excellent traders, and they all came from here. So those guys you look at on Twitter, a lot of these guys came from here that you're seeing in this cycle. So Charts and ideas, guys. It's the best place you could be. Learn from Pocky, learn from myself, learn from anybody you can. Every minute you spend in here is going to change how you tackle the next 6 to 7 months. Like don't sleep. Don't sleep. You had 3 years to sleep. Now's not the time to sleep. So that's that. That was a little history lesson. Yeah, you probably got new members in here that didn't know that. Do you think anything else than Bitcoin actually has a good use case and will be around for a long time? Aerosmart, it's a great question. I think a lot of people are fixed on the idea that money needs to be solved when it's already solved. That's the thing. Bitcoin solves the money problem, but blockchain can solve so many other things. These tokens can solve so many other things. It's just they're fixed and focused on extracting money from people. That's what it is. Blockchain has the potential to solve so many problems in our world, from voting to medicine to airlines to anything that requires verification in a public ledger. It could solve so many things. It chooses not to because the right now the gold rush is getting people to buy into tokens that do nothing. The public ledger is practically the biggest thing that is feared by everybody around you that probably has a say on your future. A public ledger, meaning they're held responsible and accountable for everything they do, as far as voter frauding all the way down to money laundering. There's a reason why this is taking so long to get pushed out. You know, there are a lot of people that can't stand to see that happen. You know, because they're probably not the most honest people. Yeah, it's the thing is Ethereum could be built. Things that can be built on Ethereum are endless. The same way things that can be built on Solana are endless. The thing is, they're trying to solve the money problem when the money problem's been solved for 15 years now. It's called Bitcoin, and that's what people are going to use as a medium. You know, you want to make other tokens that are easily exchangeable. That's fine, but like you're misusing its potential. Its potential should be focused on solving real world things, and it just can't do that right now. That's the thing, right? Like if you're in talking to me about the actual tech of Ethereum and what it can do and what it can solve, what it can build to enhance systems, it's endless. It's endless what it can do. And obviously the optimist sees that potential. The reality is your developers are doing nothing but cash grabs, right? Like nobody's actually wanting to build on this. It's almost like they don't have the approval to make systems better than they are. So again, it's like there's an elephant in the room here. You know what I'm trying to say? Is that blockchain should be expanding and should be full priority for pretty much every nation moving forward, but for some reason they choose not to do this. You know? Instead, they just continue to riddle it with scams and that's the thing, right? They introduce something as beautiful as NFTs, but then they attach it to monkey pictures and 8-bit pixel pictures, and then you want people to take it seriously. You get what I'm trying to say? Like perfect idea, wrong time. You know, you just made it look like a clown show. So that's it. You're asking me, do I think these things have use cases? Absolutely, absolutely. That's the beauty of blockchain. It's endless. The problem is we're in this phase where everybody's just trying to steal money from each other because they don't actually believe in the system. They don't actually believe in anything. And that's why Bitcoin remains the way it is because you have people that absolutely bought into the belief of what it's trying to do and they'll never sell. They will never sell. But I'll find anybody that will sell me their Ethereum. I'll find thousands of people that will sell me Ethereum OTC. I don't know anybody that will sell me BTC OTC. It's impossible. I can't find a deal like that. It's never possible. They'll tell me to fuck off. But you want to buy 50 million OTC shit tokens at 70% discount? By all means. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, good luck trying to find a 70% discount on BTC. You're never going to find it. Do you think there are actually enough people building good stuff with blockchain? Absolutely. Absolutely. They just don't have the funding, nor do they have the approval. Crypto, internet was too immature for major corporations to adopt, but we got there eventually. I just think you underestimate how early you are into the internet era of crypto. Like you're still in the 90s right now. Like you're literally still in the 90s. I would say last cycle was like the early late 80s. Like the late 80s when floppy disks were still like the main thing. Like Like we're really that early. Like you're that early. People are only starting to use wallets seamlessly and shit like that. Like you're that early. It's like people are just starting to understand how to use Google. You get what I'm trying to say? It's like we're only starting to realize that only now Google is like the thing where you can ask it anything. We're still in the days where like Jeeves, Ask Jeeves is still like a competitor. Like that's where we're at right now. If I had to compare it to the internet. You guys remember Ask Jeeves? That's where we're at right now. Exactly. We're about to enter the MSN era. You get what I'm trying to say? Like we're right there. Like that's where we're at. Like it's not Google Maps yet. It's Zip2. It's not PayPal.com. It's X.com. You get what I'm trying to say? Like we're right there. We're like in the .com era. Everybody still has dial up. High speed is just starting to get into people's homes. Like we're right there. Like if I had to make a comparison to like where we are in the grand scheme of figuring out what crypto does for the world, we're right there. Before you know it, it'll be in everybody's workplace. It'll be in everybody's. They'll get paid in tokens. Everything will be micromanaged by blockchain because it's a public ledger that needs realistically, no human organization. It just needs confirmations, and that's what the world's going to be surrounded by. What do I think about TIPA AI? Like any other AI project, it's a big buzzword right now. It's a hot narrative. I don't know the first thing about AI and the depths of it and how blockchain and AI somehow work together. I couldn't possibly tell you, Adrian. Unfortunately, I'm a derivatives trader. I trade metrics and mechanics. I don't trade, shit like that. Yeah, the AI coins seem like a big. I don't think so. I just think it's a narrative, and people are going to play it because people are buying. So long as there are buyers and sellers, fair game. Fair game. You feel copy trading will be over soon with all these privacy dexes launching? I don't think anything will be over, ever. Where can you learn about my strategy? Better in the corner. Better in the corner. I think next week we'll do a pivot strategy refresher just so people know how I trade because we've had a lot of new members over the past month and a half here. So um, for the new faces, we'll probably do a crash course on the pivot. So any familiar members can just skip that one probably. Yeah, and in the corner it's mostly because I write like my scenarios for the day, but yeah, I'll do a breakdown for you. I should have some couple of recordings too. Raise. If you go to recordings, I'm pretty sure there's a video or two that cover my pivot lesson. Shout out to Silk Road for popping BDC off. Free my boy Ross. Free my boy Ross. Unbelievable. Some brave people, man. Some brave people that went down for Bitcoin being where it's at today. Can never forget. Raise, I'll send you a message. Retail money obviously pales in comparison to institutional money, so the bullish mantra retail hasn't even returned yet confuses me. What difference do you think it'll make when they give the new market dynamics? Retail money, first and foremost, brings speculation, right? Second of all, okay, it brings publicity, popularity, and euphoria. So when this is all mustering in the air, there comes this thing called belief. And this is the final, what I call the final leg of opportunity. It's the one that moves the fastest, and it's the one that will have the most severe consequences. When retail shows up, it's probably the clearest green signal that you're about 70% done the rally to me. Does that make sense? Everything up until now, Hux, everything up until now has been nothing more than a smart money expansion. That's all it is. A 75% down opportunity that nobody wanted to buy, and now everybody wants to buy as we hit price discovery. So what I'm saying is when markets are in price discovery or entering price discovery and retail comes in willing to buy at whatever price, not stacked like an institution, not strategized like an institution, price tends to get really, really crazy. during these moments. So that's where your maximum opportunity of income could be made in the shortest amount of time. Yeah, and another thing, Hux, you need retail to show up because who else is going to create this sell side liquidity the next time around, right? You need generational bag holders. That's how they get in. That's how they stay stuck, and that's how they join the fight for the next market cycle, right? Like it's all a system. It's all a system. I am not invested in those. It's okay, Hux. I was 2018 exit liquidity, bro. I had to learn my lesson. 2020, I got to stomp. I got the pub stomp. So it's normal. When do I feel retail will show up? Mm, that's a good question because I don't actually know. I assume retail shows up after Bitcoin's hit its real valuations because that's when it actually makes sense for bag holders to gain the attention of retail, in my opinion. That's when you'll see the blow off top. That's when you'll see like Bitcoin jump like fucking 80K in a day out of nowhere, and you'll just be like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like that's retail blow off top type stuff. I don't think you've seen anything near. You've seen nothing but fucking straight up grinding and consistent bidding. I've never seen anything like this, guys. Like truly I haven't. Like you think some are already showing up? Yeah, but they're showing up and this is the thing, right? You notice one thing, retail buys all this and then they just get fucking curb stomped. That's the thing, right? I'll start worrying when they start asking me about Bitcoin. Like I did in 2021. They started asking me about Bitcoin. I was like, whoa. I'm like, whoa. What are you asking me about Bitcoin at $70,000 for? Like now, it's nobody's talking about it. Have you noticed? Nobody. It's as dead as it could be. It's as dead as it could be. This is what I call smart money expansion. This is smart money expansion. And now it's the first real wave of optimism. This is gonna be the first real wave of optimism. And then comes the final expansion of retail. We're in that first early adopter expansion, the smart money expansion. My barber asked me about buying BTC in November 2021. There you go. Enough said. Enough said. When did they tell me? Okay, I'm gonna tell you the story, and this is a tale as old as time. He goes by the name of Retail Ryan. I have a buddy. His name is Retail Ryan. You know, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. You know, he's a good friend. You know, but he sucks at finance and he sucks at making money. So we're gonna throw Retail Ryan under the bus here because I'm gonna. This is exactly the actions of Retail Ryan, right? The Retail Ryan, he's always been up to date with the trends. You know, he reads the news, he follows stuff. You know, he pays attention to what you talk about. So the second he sees the first day, you know, Bitcoin goes up 5%, he's like, hey, how's that thing doing? You know, and it's around $10,000. It's around $10,000, right? So we're about over here, you know, Retail Ryan, he sees some stuff going on, but hey, you know, Bitcoin is at 3,000, maybe I'll buy there. This is what Retail Ryan thinks. So he goes, hey man, I heard about BTC. Like, do you think I should get in? And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course, why not, right? You know, it's you know, it's 70, 80% down. You know, halving's on the way. It should be a good time. You know, I'll wait a bit. I'll wait a bit. I saw Bitcoin at 3K. I think it'll go lower. Then we get to 20K. And Retail Ryan's over here asking again. He's like, holy shit, man! I just saw Bitcoin's you know up 2x from the last time I spoke about it. You still think it's too late to buy? And I'm like, nah, man. You know, it's like still pretty early. We're only at the all-time highs. Traditionally, it's gone even higher. He goes, nah. You know what? I don't know. I don't know. You know, I saw Bitcoin at 10K a few weeks ago. I'll just buy there. Then we get to the 36K, and the same question comes up. Oh my God, it's Retail Ryan again. He's messaging me again. This guy can't stop putting down his phone. He's asking me, hey man, I see Bitcoin's 3 times its price now. It's like, you still think it's a good time to buy? And I'm like, look, I'm like, as long as you pace yourself, who knows? You might be fine, right? But the fact that he didn't buy here, 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 and now he's asking me how to set up his Coinbase account at 60K after we failed to break it 2 times. You know, Bitcoin tries to break twice. And right over here, he's asking me, how do I open a Coinbase account? I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, oh boy. Retail Ryan has actually made the decision to start buying. This is bad. Because this whole run up, he was thinking, I got time. And now that we failed to break 60K levels 3 times, all of a sudden he's asking me to open a Coinbase account. Tops it. And that's it. That's the story of retail Ryan. We all know a retail Ryan. We've probably been a retail Ryan once in our life, but you know, that's uh that's it. I got asked in the previous cycle about BDC all the way from 10 to 60K. And they only started to buy once we made the 48 to 56K level. They only started to buy up here. And coincidentally, this is the distributive top that we saw. Perfect head and shoulders, yada, yada, yada. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Oh, don't get me wrong. I forgot to mention this, right? After retail Ryan buys up here, price nukes 30%. He calls it a scam. I'm somehow responsible. Price goes back up to 60K, never talks about it again. And he's going to talk to me about Bitcoin again when it's somewhere. Because obviously this is all a scam, right? And he was right this whole time. That's what he thinks. Now that we're over here, he's only going to talk to me about it once it's like right over here. And that's when we'll probably start hedging. You know, all jokes aside, this is literally how it goes every fucking time. So just to recap, the story of retail Ryan, it goes like this. Hey man, I want to buy. On the second thought, I'll wait. Hey man, I want to buy. On the second thought, I'll wait. Hey man, I want to buy. On the second thought, I'll wait. Hey man, I bought. Let's go to the fucking moon. Price nukes 30%. This market's a fucking scam and it's all your fault. Market recovers, doesn't talk about it, pretends like this never happened, goes back down, waits for this low to get taken out, then calls to message me saying, how's your Bitcoin doing this whole time while I'm buying heavily? Okay. And now we don't hear about him until Bitcoin goes to about 110, 120,000. This is the cycle of retail Ryan. He wants nothing to do about anything. Making money is not an option for him. It's only to kick his friends when they're down. That's what retail Ryan is there for. So make sure you use this indicator very, very closely in your life because it will save you. Beware of the retail Ryans. Can we get a retail Ryan indicator? We're gonna have to do some back testing on this, but the data is correct, I assure you. Is it a good idea to put profits into OXO? I'm not going to be zombie. I'm not going to be your financial advisor here. I'm a trader. If you have a belief in something, long-term conviction, make sure you have, you know, the right thesis behind it and why you believe that. But I can't tell you what to do with your money. I'm very sorry. Yeah, man. We spoke about retail Ryan all the way in 2020. It was some good times, but he's made a return. He's made a return. Still no inquiry. Like literally, the retail Ryan in my life has not asked me once. But it's important not to kick the retail Ryans when they're down. We've all been there at one point, right? We've all been at mercy of these fucking markets, their candlesticks, you know. But guys, we've dicked around for a bit here. We've been around the stream for about an hour and a half. I think we covered a lot, and my strategy is to only buy AI tokens. When I make money, I'll buy BDC. Look, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. You should have a plan that always looks to expose yourself to BDC, no matter how small it is. Even if you think $5-10, you know, every 2 days is not enough, it's something. Something. I don't like treat it as a retirement account. BTC should be seen as a slow, fast-paced retirement account. That's it. Your focus and goal should not be collecting US dollars. It should be collecting Satoshis because that's what's going to be worth infinite in comparison to everything else. But if I had to ask one last question before I get off here, most of you guys, is this your second, first, or third cycle? Do I have any third cyclers with me here? Third cycles, wow. Holy Schmidt. Damn. We got some vets in here, boys. We got some vets. We got some vets. Shit. It's a mixed crowd, but ironically or not, you notice how it's not many people with the first cycle. Have you noticed this? What does that tell you? There are more second cyclers here than and third cyclers here than first cyclers. Guys, we are so early. You don't get it. You don't get it. You don't get how early we are. You're just early to information that's niche specific to you. I would say about 20% of people that just wrote here are first timers. The majority of you have been here, done that. Keep BDC on a ledger. Most of my BDC, all my diehard funds are on cold storage. Yes. The rest is on Bitfinex, which I trust wholeheartedly. They've handled endless amounts of my funds during the worst of the worst, and I have no reason to assume they'd do me dirty. I've been there for 6 years now, so Bitfinex handles my large account, and that's it. Bybit, I'm slowly starting to trust them more. I'm starting to move 20 to 100K towards it now, but we're still testing the water there. We're doing a little splash with our foot to see if we could trust them with that liquidity, and that's it. This tape is going live here. Are we actually bouncing from 67.7? Hey. Look at that, huh, boys? The magic line does not lie. The magic line does not lie. Yeah, you see BingX. You see, I don't touch these exchanges. All due respect. Yeah, the 15-minute pivot is quite effective, and you'll see it's also effective in days that are down as well. This strategy is going to help you the most when you're in a choppy, unclear trend because it's so easy to extract from just ideal price points. When you're actually trending and in more aggressive trend, this strategy tends to lose its effectiveness, believe it or not. And that's where my daily strategy, my supply and demand on bigger time frames start to take a bigger effect. Yeah, I trust Bitfinex and Bybit. I used to put FTX on there until they fucked everybody over. But yeah, Bitfinex for large accounts. Bybit I do for public trading, just so you know. I keep that as like my public trade account. Binance too. I just don't think I'm allowed to trade there right now. I think after Binance survived its fiasco, I think they're in the clear. You should be okay. All right, guys. Looks like we're gonna kick off with a pretty strong New York Open here. So I think we covered enough today. We have our plans of what we're looking for. 33.3, all the way to 33.40 for ETH. We reclaim this. We should be able to go risk on. This we should be able to go risk on here. I mean, if you also want to just hold up, just see that 67.7 is going to hold even on a reset over here. That's fine with me. But going into the weekend is what we want to see. Shouldn't have any problem. Bounced off really strong levels. Should be good. Everything else, will it have a recovery? Keep an eye on Bitcoin dominance. We are at a very important part. So to expect these to lag behind is normal. Just look at your metrics, get a clue. Don't get in front of this if it actually wants to make its move right now. Just better safe than sorry. There's gonna be tons of opportunities. But yeah, guys, I think that's enough for today. Yeah, I think that's enough for today. I'm going to be in the Discord for the rest of the day. If you guys have any questions, you can always message me or mention me in the chats, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Guys, thank you so much for joining. I thought we had a really good discussion today. What do you guys think? You know, not too bad of a day. Not too bad of a day. A lot of cool stuff covered. Not stuff we usually talk about. So that's awesome, guys. So I'll see you guys around. Safe trading. Don't be too crazy, and yeah, enjoy these next couple of weeks. We'll talk soon.